The radios are currently stored in this cabinet here underneath the computer in the DOC. As you open up the cabinet, you can see that the radios are on the bottom shelf. 3 radios, 3 extra batteries are all in chargers and currently charging. There's also a radio base station, which I'll review here in a second, and the radio base station does have an antenna around the side of the cabinet, which is magnetic. This is the Motorola XTS 2500. These are the radios that we use in the DOC. Let's go over the parts and pieces. On the top of the radio, you have your volume control knob, which is right here. Turn it clockwise to turn on the radio. Now next to that is the mode selection knob, which is right here. This will allow you to change tacks as you turn it clockwise also, from 1 all the way around to 15. Always want to peel this back counterclockwise, keep it on number 1, so you're on the very first tack when you turn on the radio. You have the antenna located over here. This is the emergency response distress signal button. Try not to touch that. And also we have the A, B, and C switches here, which are for scanning. Now you would want to stay on B, which is in the middle here, when you are not scanning. If you need to scan, you would switch this over to C or over to A. You hear that dead tone? That means you're in an unprogrammed zone. That's why you need to keep it on B. On the left side of the radio, while you're facing the radio, this purple button here is for a backlight, which will illuminate the panel. This large button here is the push to talk. This is where you need to hold it down with your thumb for at least 2 seconds, and then you can start talking and you'll transmit. This next button here tells you which tower you are transmitting out of. The button below that is what's called a cancellation button or a nuisance delete button. If you're scanning and you don't want to listen to that particular transmission, you can push this button and it will stop that transmission without changing any channels. Now also, this is the back side here of the battery, where you need to pull this switch down on both sides and the battery will unhinge from the back, which I'll show you in a second. On the right side of the radio, while it's facing you, there really are no buttons on this side. You can see the battery clip on, the battery removal slot here, which you would push down, but there is a black tab right here which covers some gold connections. This is a connection for a speaker mic that would be mounted up near your shirt like you see law enforcement wearing. Right now we don't have these, and this stays intact. Do not remove it. To remove the battery, pick up the radio with both hands, slide down the buttons on the side, and the battery will undo at the top and the hinge will release at the bottom. You can see where the battery has some hinges down in here. To put the battery back together, very simple, just do the opposite. Slide it in, pull down, and listen to it click. Once it clicks on both sides, then the battery is secure. Alright, let's do the front of the radio. This front panel also is the speaker, and there is a small microphone at the front of this panel also. As we come down, you can see the display. The focus isn't the best on this camera, but you can see the top left says DEH. That is the zone, as it indicates below. Over to the right, or top middle, it says HMDER. That is the tack or the mode. Remember from the communications planner or fleet map, we are always going to be in the DEH zone. As you turn the mode selector or the tack selector at the top center of the radio, which is this, as you turn this over clockwise, it's going to change this to DEH1, DEH2, DEH3, 4, car 1, station M, and when you get into an unprogrammed zone, it'll actually start to give you that tone. So go counterclockwise back to the beginning and you'll be in a program zone. Now these are soft keys underneath here where it says zone, and we'll get into programming this in a minute. But if you wanted to change the zone, you hit this soft key down here, it starts to blink, you move the cursor down here basically, or this little panel, push left, and you can start to change zones. Not really any need for us to change zones out in the field normally, but once you get to the zone you want, you come down and you hit the home button and you're good to go. If you want to get back to DEH, come up, hit zone, come down to the little circle down here, go back and find DEH. There it is. Come down, select home, and we've just navigated through some of the various zones in the fleet map. If for some reason you had a need to scan a channel, you would come up to the ABC selector up in here, push it over to C, come back to the radio. You can select Program, Scan, and then you go to the channel that you want to scan in particular and select it. Say I want to scan for some reason CMA County Call. I hit select. That little zigzag or arrow up here, it's kind of hard to see with this camera. That zigzag appears, and then I'm going to go back to home. I could come in here and choose view, and I'm going to view my scan list, and there it is, CMA County Call. What else is in here? That's the only one in the scan list at this time. I can push home and go back, and now if I am in the A or C button on the top of the radio right here, it will scan that channel. If I go back to B in the center here, I am no longer scanning, and that's where we really should be unless we need to scan for field teams that are on DEH 1, 2, and 3. And basically we would come back into here and do Program, Scan, and I would turn it over with the mode selector over to DEH2 and hit select, and then go back to home, and we're good. Now we can now go back to our program list and see if that's there. View, scan, we got County CMA Call, and now we have DEH2 in there. And that's how you add stuff to the scan list. When we hit home, and we're back out. This is a low battery signal here. You can see it's kind of hard to see, but the battery is flashing in the top right hand corner, indicating that you have a low battery. Now some of the sounds that you may hear when you have a low battery are, hopefully it'll make a little chirp chirp sound. That's the triple beep to indicate push to talk. That sound is low battery. You need to change your battery and slap a new one on, as it's going to start to die off pretty soon.